I had a great cold open that I wanted to do because I was listening to the Basement Yard and they had stolen something from another podcast. And then the day got away from me and I've completely forgot what I wanted to do.
So we were going to steal from a podcast that stole from a podcast?
Yeah, the funny part is the Basement Yard said, I'm stealing this from another podcast, but I don't remember which one. So I was like, oh, well, that's legitimately okay with me. I can steal it from that. You ever play that game, I'm Going to a Picnic?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So I'm going to a picnic and I'm going to bring a book. And then you have to say something that you're going to bring. And I'm going to tell you whether or not you can or cannot bring it. Right? So like, I'm going to bring a book. You go.
I'm going to go to a picnic and I'm going to bring a tablecloth.
You cannot bring a tablecloth. Okay? I'm going to go to a book. I'm going to go to a picnic and I'm going to bring a deer. It's your turn.
I'm going to go to a picnic and bring an apple.
You can bring an apple. Okay. I'm going to go to a picnic and I'm going to bring a baggie. Now, if you get this one right, I'll know that you know what I'm talking about. What are you going to bring?
Oh, let's see. I think I'm going to go to a picnic and I'm going to bring a sugar cube.
No, you cannot bring a sugar cube.
Because I have no idea what you're talking about.
So that's kind of the point of this game, right? And I play this game a lot with the kids because you always have to come with it. All right, I'll give you another potential hit. Okay, I'm gonna go to a picnic and I'm gonna bring a quill. For those who are listening and not watching at youtube.com/@allthingsmsp, Eric just gave me the most inquisitive look I've ever seen on his face, ever.
So, book, deer, baggie, quill, and apple.
Yes. Other than dead air.
Yeah, like thanks. Great cold open. Now I realize it's my fault, right? Johnny Appleseed?
Technically, you can bring Johnny Appleseed. Yeah. You can 100% bring Johnny Appleseed. Because you obviously don't get it, which is fine. All right, if you get it, leave us a comment below this episode and tell me if you understood what our game is. And until then, been a near.
Simplify Microsoft 365 management with CoreView, the ultimate tool for MSPs. From advanced reporting to enhanced security and license optimization, CoreView empowers you to manage your clients' environments effortlessly, save time, reduce costs, and deliver superior service. Learn more at atmsp.link/CoreView. Helped makes it easier for MSPs to deliver exceptional IT support. With on-demand services and a network of reliable technicians, Helped helps you expand your service offerings without adding overhead. Fast, flexible, and built for MSPs, visit atmsp.link/helped and see how they can help your business thrive.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the All Things MSP podcast. I'm your host, Grizzly Adams. With me is podcast producer extraordinaire, Mr. Eric Anthony. I really need to shave.
Yeah, but are you actually old enough that you watched the show?
What show?
You know that Grizzly Adams was a show, right?
He's not like the cousin of the other Adams family. Oh, that's double L. That's double D's. Oh, I'm going to a picnic and I'm bringing the Adams.
No, there was the TV show about the guy named Grizzly Adams who lived in the woods, had a bear for a friend/pet.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. Thanks, Grandpa.
Well,
no, I changed it. The one thing I don't like about StreamYard is I have to actually get out of full screen mode so I can like edit my name and bring it back up. Michelle said that I look like I tripped and fell on a hedgehog. I mean, she's not wrong. I really do need to do something about this. I haven't shaved or cut my hair in like 3 weeks. I'm going on. It's solidarity. I told her, I really got her mad because you know how like baseball players don't shave during like playoffs and stuff like that is like good
Right,
luck.
right.
So I told her, I was like, I'm not shaving. I'm using this for good luck. And she goes, for what? And I go, aces. And she's like, that's in May. She's like, you are shaving before then. So if you want to know what I look like, youtube.com/@allthingsmsp. And if you don't want to know what I look like, continue listening on your favorite podcasting tools. That's all. Yeah. What's going on, buddy?
Well, just had a really busy week. Really good week, though. Looking forward to some vacay, actually.
Oh, that's nice. This weekend, despite when we're recording and when this is airing, the day we're recording this tomorrow is actually Roman's 10th birthday. And so he really desperately wants a phone, but I don't think he's responsible enough to have a phone. So I have another phone that's in my Verizon plan that I can upgrade to an iPhone 16, and I will switch the phone number to that, and I will get a new number, and he will get my old iPhone 13, and he will like it. Because if the 13 breaks, that's fine. I'm not getting him a brand new 16 and letting him break that. That is a non. My other issue though is parental controls, because Mac or iOS has pretty good parental controls built in. The problem is that they're iCloud specific. So you set the parental controls based on the iCloud account, and they're supposed to work on both your Mac and your iOS device. The problem is that on the Mac, there's so many other ways around things. So like I parental controlled his Safari, but guess what? He uses Chrome.
Yeah.
You know? So
been there, done that.
I'm a little worried about it. There used to be a great company, I forget what their name was, that's how great they were, that actually did parental controls via MDM. And then Apple put the kibosh on them because that's not how MDM was supposed to be used. So it was like a big fight or whatever it is. And I think they eventually lost because of how they were. It was more about how they were rolling out MDM, because you're supposed to have a device be fully supervised and they didn't own the devices or whatever. But there's been no replacement for it. I really want to see that. And the other thing that I really think is hilarious is back in the heyday of my software development company, I actually created an app called Good Night. And I got on Wall Street Journal has an video interview thing. And it's in my sizzle reel. But I got on the Wall Street Journal talking about this app that I had created that like you install it on the parent's device, you install it on the kid's device, you set the kid's age and the date, whatever it is. And if the kid moves the phone, it would use like the gyroscope in the phone. It would alert the parent. And it worked cross-platform. It worked from iPhone to Android. And it was great. It totally worked. I just couldn't get the marketing up and running for it. Shocker. But I didn't have kids at the time. I built it because my sister's kids were younger and she needed it. And this is 2011, 2012. Here we are in 2025. And I'm like, oh, I really need this freaking app again.
Well, spin up that division again.
Yeah, just what I need to do. I got a better division to spin up. We're going to spin up from the group. So we got a great from the group. Matthew Koenig says, MSPs, you do not sell cybersecurity. You do not sell vulnerability management, security awareness training, email security, and EDR. Listen carefully. You sell the protection of their brand, people, and profits. That is it. If you were talking about anything else, they're ignoring you, zoned out, not caring, or thinking about how much these services are going to cost. You are talking to business people. Talk to them about what they care about, not what you think they should hear. Prove me wrong. I can't. You win. Game over. Episode's done. That nailed it on the head. I have preached this for years to MSPs because so many companies, so many MSPs will sell services based on what they're called, right? So like DNS filtering is a great example. I'm going to sell DNS filtering. Do you think that like a graphic design firm knows what DNS is? I don't even know what DNS really is. I'm kidding, kind of. But like my point is that like if I, instead of saying DNS filtering and I say, I'm going to protect your laptops from illicit websites, phishing, and malware through a piece of software, don't worry about it. That comes, maybe even malware, but like that hits home harder than saying like, I'm going to sell you DNS filtering.
Right. because it doesn't mean anything to them.
No.
It literally has no context to their life, their business, their whatever. You have to speak to them in the terms of their business. And this is where I see MSPs that are really succeeding. I'll use Keith Nelson as an example. I know he commented on this post. When he goes into a client, he's talking their language.
Mm-hmm.
Like he may not even say the word computer when he's talking about a certain computer. It is what that computer does for the business. You know, you might have a computer in a doctor's office that handles patient check-in, right? So it's the patient check-in terminal. It's not the computer. It's
not
the
the
patient check-in terminal.
computer or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And that makes a difference because the customer understands now the context of that, not the physical attributes of it.
Years ago, we had a meeting with someone, and it's escaping me who it is, and I apologize. And I think it was somebody I met back when I was doing South by Southwest. And I had flown them up to New York, and I had them meet with my team at the time, which was a completely different team than I have now. And we were talking about how to sell services. And one of the things that had come up was questioning what we were billing for devices, right? And so you can bill per device, but his ideal, and this, he went a little extreme on it, and it like obviously didn't play out in the long run, but like the concept still fits in here, was if you go to a business and you ask, let's say that patient terminal, how much money would you lose if that patient check-in terminal is down for 10 minutes, an hour, a day, a week? How much money will you lose? The client then sees that in their language.
Right.
They don't care that you're going to put in a dual redundant power supply and a UPS and you're going to clone it to another machine under the desk that you can just flip a switch and it turns back. They don't care about all that. They care that that device doesn't go down and you can price it against that. And so his argument was, and the client we were at was a design firm, like if that device goes down, are they losing $10,000 a week in design work? 20, 50, $100,000? You can price against that. And so technically you should be able to go to the owner, which this, again, far extreme, but you should be able to go to the owner and say like, listen, I'm going to protect your devices. I'm going to protect all your computers. No outages, no problems, no nothing, but it's going to cost you $100,000. You know, obviously they're going to say no, but the concept is that you're not selling vulnerability management, security awareness. You're selling protection, which is what Matthew writes here. You're protecting their business. You're protecting their ability to work. You're protecting their productivity.
You're reducing risk.
Yeah.
And that risk, when something happens, rears its ugly head in usually two different ways, right? It is opportunity cost, meaning you now can't do something that you were doing, and so you're not going to get the revenue from that. Or it's a cost in terms of, employees not being able to work anymore, or, something like that. Or it's an even bigger risk, right? Especially when we're talking about security. The risks can go as large as you no longer have a business.
Yeah.
And that's scary. And, I don't really subscribe to the FUD methodology, right? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. However, if it's backed up by real facts and real possibilities, like, look, if you don't patch your computers and you have no cybersecurity and you don't do any of the things that any people recommend for securing your environment, you have a good chance of being ransomed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And for certain companies, ransomware event is an extinction event. So you have to sell it in those terms versus it's the classic features versus benefits, right? That's all it really is.
I mean, I like to sell it as insurance. It's really, like, in my opinion, I'm going to insure your business from a technological standpoint, no matter what the cost is. You want your business to keep going? It's so funny because in New York, you have general liability insurance in case somebody falls, but like you're on like the 8th floor, 10th floor of a building in a small office. Like you're insuring yourself for tens of millions of dollars in case somebody falls in the hallway. That's probably the building's fault or whatever, right? It's not like homeowners insurance where someone can slip on your sidewalk. And you won't pay $1,000 to make sure that your 6 computers are taken care of. You know, like it's that weird mindset that people don't, and especially now because like it's not hypothetical anymore. We've seen it happen. We've seen companies go under due to ransomware or bigger problems, and yet they're still not getting it. Which is to Matthew's point. We as MSPs need to stop talking in those tech terms, sell them on the business side of things, and then you can. So Matthew, I can't prove you wrong. I think you nailed it on the head. And going back to Keith Nelson, he wrote, "You provide business outcome enhancements." I love it. Mwah. Chef's kiss, 10 out of 10. No notes. People keep messaging me, and I'm trying to record a podcast, folks. Don't you get it? This is important. This is what my life is about. Actually, I had something I wanted to talk to you today about. You sent me this Reddit post the other day, and I thought it was really interesting. I thought we should talk about it. So I'm going to read this Reddit. I'm going to read the title and just like the first part. I'm not going to read the edit because it's irrelevant, but it was basically employee left and took clients to start his own business. One of my buddies that owns an MSP somewhere had his top tech quit to start their own MSP, took several clients with him. Is that even legal? I think there's now a lawsuit happening. Have you ever had an employee quit, take some clients with you? What'd you do with it? And so the people that are commenting, and there's 151 comments on here, one, don't even understand. Like they keep talking to this guy as if it's his company, where he 100% says one of my buddies who owns an MSP. So it's not even his company. And all these things. So I kind of wanted to talk about, poaching clients and how MSP owners can protect themselves, because this actually happened to me in reverse. So when I started in the industry, I worked for a company. That company sold to another company. And when I got fired from that company, I took clients with me. And I was able to do that because when I got fired from the original company, they tried to weasel a non-compete and non-disclosure into my severance agreement because I didn't have one when my company, which of course I didn't have a non-compete, non-disclosure with in the first place because the guy ran a small business and didn't know how to run a business, sold to the bigger company. They also didn't give me a non-compete, non-disclosure. So this is both of their faults, not mine. Plus, it's been so long, I think we determined statute of limitations is beyond on this one. Also, the company's out of business. Because I left mostly. So
yeah,
let's take full responsibility.
That's exactly why.
It's because of me. Screw you guys. All right. Anyway, so one of the things I've always done when we've hired people is ensure that this can't happen because I've done it. And this comes down to, and this is your favorite word on this show, contracts. Right? And the MSP owner, you have to have an employee agreement when you hire someone, and there have to be rules in it. It's not hard. This isn't a hard concept. If the clients are going to leave because that tech left, they don't know you well enough. Or they know the tech. Like there's so many reasons why the tech would leave and they would go with them, but you can stop them from going with that tech because you can stop the tech from accepting their work.
There are a million ways to have a conversation around this, right? And there's two general schools of thought, I think, in here. And one of them is that, that technician is a bad person and they just, left and took all these clients with them. And then there's the other side of the coin where, the MSP must have been treating them badly and they left because of that and took all of these clients with them.
Right.
I don't think it's as simple as that, but beyond that, those are kind of feels, right? I mean, yes, you should treat your people well, and the better you treat them, the less likely they are to leave and or take people with them when they do. But on the other side, it's going to happen. Like, there is a good chance that at some point a technician is going to leave, and they had such a good relationship with the client that the client will want to follow the technician. I'm sure you've experienced it. I know I've experienced it. And so it just happens. Now, I would say that yes, absolutely, 100% in your employment agreements, you need to set expectations. That's a given. You need to set expectations about everything that revolves around their role. And that includes how they deal with clients and not taking clients with them when they leave. And, this is something that can be upheld in court, right? Because you invested in those clients. Those clients are your book of business, and you have money that you spent to acquire and maintain those clients. Now, I'm going to say, and then I'll let you chime in on this, when it comes to things that you put into legal agreements, I don't like relying on that as my first line of defense. Okay? And the reason for that is because it can get very expensive to enforce it. Mm-hmm. Justin, what are your thoughts?
You're right. The legal side of things should be the end result. I'm actually going to read what we have in our non-compete, non-disclosures. This way people have an understanding, right? The line that is important here is, for a period of X amount of time after my last payment from the organization, without the prior written consent of board of directors, chairman, president, or of Virtua, I will not solicit nor do business with any company which is a client of Virtua at the time of my last payment received, or was a client of the company at any time during the 1 year prior to my last payment received. So what I'm basically, either on behalf of myself or any other engaged party of the computer business, what I'm basically saying is, if you leave, you cannot take any clients that we have, or basically anyone that we've had within the last year. And some of this is probably not enforceable, right? Laws change constantly, and we haven't updated our legal on this in a while. And we straight up say, in the event of a dispute arising out of this agreement, it is agreed by the parties, the state of New York will govern the interpretation and validity of this agreement. Now, I also have staff outside of New York, so there are rules around that. We put that in place more to have an understanding about what the what the employees should be doing, and they have that they have that understanding. It does get really gray. It becomes a real gray part, because when it comes to legality of staff members, it is state by state. I think there's a couple of states where you can't even uphold a non-compete anymore legally.
I think yeah. And by the way, we have to use the standard disclaimer here that we are not attorneys and this is not legal advice.
Right.
But I think that in general, a non-compete is more effective the more specific it gets. So if the limit of your non-compete is clients of the business, I think that that's much more defensible than saying, well, you just can't do IT work in the, Atlanta area,
right,
whatever.
Right. Yeah. I will say that in our buyout, when we've done M&A, the owner of the company, in their agreement, we do write stuff like that. Like, at the time of your leaving, you cannot work within 50-mile radius of the headquarters of that business for at least 2 to 5 years, depending. But that's a different story. That's because those people who had businesses that sold to us would have the propensity to go start another business. And I'm not going to buy your business and then in 5 years let you go start another one and steal all your clients back. Like that's a big no-no. So like there's legality around that. But for just employees of themselves, like you should have things in place that deter your staff from stealing customers. Now, truth be told, like it's gonna happen, right? And like you said earlier, like the legal side of this is the big swinging hammer, but like there's got to be a terms and conditions around what you're okay with. It also depends on why the person left. What's not said in this, and actually maybe he writes one thing is clear. Wait, I think he put an assumption in here about the person being like the owner being good and the employee being good, and that they were good with one another. The employee just wanted to go leave. So this wasn't even like a spiteful thing, but at the same time, kind of was because.
Well, yeah. Like to me, that's just bad acting. Like if somebody hires you and you work for them for, I don't even like as short as 2 to 5 years, right? And I'm not saying it's okay to do this if you only work for somebody for 1 year. I'm just using this to say, if this person hired you, paid you for a reasonable amount of time, brought you in, to be a part of the business and put food on your table for a period of time, it's really kind of not cool, is the way I'll put it, to go and then take their livelihood away.
Yeah.
Just because you feel like starting a business. That to me, while, maybe legally defensible, I mean, that's just.
I'd be so mad. I would like as an owner, if somebody did that
and
to me,
I would be too.
If one of my team did that to me, I'm a vengeful person. I would, the wrath of God, like legal, whatever it takes to get something done to deal with that situation.
But, I think karma is going to come into play here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that reputation people will eventually find out. Not necessarily from the original business owner. It may be from the clients that you poached, that they find out that you poached them from this other person.
Yeah.
And they're like, that I don't want to trust my IT stuff to somebody who's going to do something like that, because, not to throw around the word trusted advisor too much, but, you have a level of access to their business and their systems that there has to be a level of trust. And if you stole clients from your former employer, I'm sorry, you're not very trustworthy.
I do wonder, like, if the person who left pre-planned it. Because, like, when I got fired, obviously I couldn't pre-plan anything. And it was a couple of weeks after I was fired that I went back to those customers, because I didn't have an NDA, and said, hey, listen, I'm no longer with XYZ company. I'm going to start my own thing. I'm just letting you know. And I let them make the decision, right? Because obviously, as the business owner, I can't stop the customer from leaving me. I can only try to stop the employee from taking on their business, right? So I'm wondering about this particular post. Like, if there was pre-planned involvement, that's a major no-no. Like, then I would 100% sue, because they intentionally hurt my business. Whereas if they left to start their own business, let's say, I think the other play that's not clear here is, like, if the person left to start their own MSP, which we can't stop them from doing, and a customer of mine was like, hey, listen, Eric's no longer with you. We really like working with him. We're going to cancel our contract. And then went to go work with you. Like, there's nothing I can do about that. To a degree, I think the fight for that is less so than if it was pre-planned. Because let's say you worked for me and you left, you should be like, I'm not allowed to legally, right? And you should have talked to me beforehand. But if you, before you left, were like, twirly mustache, and then left and and the customer was like, I'm going with Eric, obviously I'll figure this out, then I would 100% sue your pants off.
Well, yeah. And here, because we're talking about a 3-sided relationship at this point, right? it should also be in your contract or your agreement with your client that they will not switch to a former employee, right?
I think we have something like that in there.
Yeah, you probably do. It's fairly common in an MSA or any type of services contract.
Yeah.
And, obviously, again, might be hard to or expensive to enforce, but it sets expectations. And I think people tend to stay within expectations unless something is really going wrong. And that brings me to the other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about is if you don't want people to leave you, then deliver excellent customer service and customer experience. Because I guarantee you that if your customer experience is in the top 10%, they will not leave you for someone else.
Well, yes. However, if the excellence is provided by you and you work for me and then you leave, I can see the cut. I can tell you what is in our MSA is that we don't allow our clients to poach our staff, which is another thing that happens. I've heard of.
Yes, that is another thing.
If a company gets bigger, they're going to want internal IT. They want the person who knows your systems. They're going to poach someone from your staff. You can't do that with me. Like that's in their MSA. Yeah.
But back to the experience thing for just a second. If it's the employee, if it's that one employee that is delivering all of that good experience, was it the business delivering the experience or was it the individual tech delivering the experience? And in that case, I would say that the business itself is not delivering great experience.
Yeah.
That one technician is. Now, it may be your only technician, and that's another problem. That's a limited case.
Yeah. But I think that also leads to the fear, I think that's also what, and we don't have to get into it too much right now, but I think that's what also leads into the owners. This is why owners of MSPs want to get their fingers in everything all the time. And we've talked about this. We literally just talked about this in the pre-call. Like, owners shouldn't be doing the help desk stuff unless you're a single person. It's different, or even two people maybe. But like when you get to that level, like owners shouldn't be doing the help desk stuff and helping people reset their passwords. You have to trust your staff to do stuff, but then leads into that problem of like, well, is it my staff that's really the business, or is it me that's really the business, or can the business stand on its own? It does get very murky.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I really wish we had a sponsor that did automatic password resets, because this would have been a perfect place to insert a voiceover for them. But unfortunately, we don't. If you provide one of those services, talk to us. Because that is something that can be handled by automation, right? And if you're a small company, you should be looking at that to, again, build that customer experience. Because is it easier to wait for a ticket to be solved to do a password reset? Or is it great to just have an app on your phone that you can go in and do all the verification that you need to do to be able to reset your password? Sorry, personal soapbox there.
I really thought you were setting up for like an actual sponsor. I didn't realize we didn't have one. But yeah, this is an interesting story that this person posted on Reddit. And I'd love to hear what you, the audience, have dealt with, or what you're doing to protect your business and your staff from these kind of situations. So leave us a comment, leave us a review when this gets posted to the Facebook group, which you can find at facebook.com/group/allthingsmsp. That's it.
That's it? That's all?
I mean, I got more. That's
it. Well, that's okay, because we just lost them all with that dead air.
Oh, I'm sorry. My dead air, not the one where you were trying to figure out words that have double letters. Cool.
Oh, dude, I so cut that out in the editing.
If you made it this far, I've ruined it for you. But Eric, any final words for the folks at home?
Yeah, I would say when it comes to any conversation or any topic like this, it really comes down to what you put out in the world. And so the more good you put out in the world, the more good will probably come back to you. So just think about that when you're making decisions like this.
I also say, and again, I don't know about the situation for this Reddit post, but like, treat your staff as best you can in any way, shape, or form. I don't scold, you shouldn't scold your staff. You shouldn't, do stuff like Offer them every benefit you possibly can. Keep them happy. A happy employee is not one who's going to steal your customers. And then if that doesn't work, sue the pants off.
And with that.
And on that note, check us out, facebook.com/group/allthingsmsp. Watch all of this and my fuzzy grisliness at youtube.com/allthingsmsp. Follow us on all your favorite podcasting tools. Don't forget to like and review. Subscribe, like, review, all those things. That's Eric. I am Justin. Bye!
Thank you for listening or watching the All Things MSP podcast. If you liked this episode, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, hit that like button, and consider subscribing to catch all our weekly episodes. And from your host extraordinaire, Justin Esgar, and myself, Eric Anthony, your humble producer and All Things MSP founder, thank you very much for spending your time with us. If you are not aware, All Things MSP started as a Facebook group and now supports over 6,000 members. We also have a LinkedIn page for those of you who don't do Facebook, and make sure to check out our YouTube channel for even more content. A special thank you to our elite sponsor, CoreView, helping you manage your Microsoft 365 tenants instead of them managing you. Thank you to our premier sponsors, EasyDmark, Helped, Gozinta, MoveBot, and SuperOps. And thank you to the rest of our sponsors. Without sponsors, we could not do what we do for the MSP community. Please consider checking them out. The All Things MSP podcast is a BizPow LLC production. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of any employer, vendor, sponsor, or random taxi driver in the Metro DC area. Be sure to join us next week for another exciting episode.